The 20,000 to 30,000 price bracket has been heating up in India lately. And after launches from OnePlus and Motorola, Samsung wants a piece of this cake, and the Galaxy F62 is the device of choice from the company. Is this phone worth the 24,000 rupee starting price? We're going to find out in this video. My name is Bharat Nagpal. You're watching iGyan. Let's review the Samsung Galaxy F62. The Galaxy F62 is available in two variants, one with 6GB of RAM, 128GB of storage for 24,000 rupees, whereas one with 8GB of RAM and the same storage for 26,000 rupees. The phone is also available in three colors, the laser green, the laser blue and the laser grey. And we have the laser blue, and I have to say, as far as the design is concerned, the phone looks pretty smart. It's got a retro modern vibe to it on the back with these lines running through the blue color. It looks really nice. It looks like a phone from the 90s, and it looks really smart in the hand. It's got this glass-stick back panel, which gives the effect of glass but is actually plastic, and the overall build quality of the phone is nice. The phone is also relatively lightweight for some of the components on the inside, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And on the front, you have mostly display with a front-facing camera that's a punch hole camera. Now, while the design of the phone looks nice and the back panel looks premium, in reality it is made out of plastic, and because of that it will get scratched and dinged quite easily. The back panel is also prone to fingerprints and gets smudged quite easily, so you'll be carrying a microfiber with you at all times to get rid of those smudges. But more importantly, there is no case included inside the box, and I highly recommend that you put this phone in a case to prevent it from getting scratched or full of fingerprints easily. And it seems to be a cheap material choice for a phone that's priced in the 25,000 rupee price bracket. It could have definitely done a lot better with a full glass back panel that would have more suited its price tag. On the bottom of the device, you do have a dedicated 3.5mm headphone jack. So for all those people who still love analog headphones, you still have access to that. And then you also have a USB-C port along with the microphone and the speaker. On the right side of the device is the power button, which also doubles up as the fingerprint sensor. It's an ideal location for the fingerprint sensor, and it can be used with both hands. So whether you're unlocking with the thumb on the right hand or the index finger on the left hand, it's rather easy to reach at, and it is ideal and is super fast because as you power on the device, you can unlock it as well. You also have the volume buttons just above the power button, a noise cancellation microphone on the top, and the SIM tray, which has two dedicated SIM slots and a micro SD expansion, which can allow you to expand storage up to 1 terabyte if you can find a micro SD card with 1 terabyte of storage easily. The back is also interesting. You have a quad camera setup. We'll get into that when we talk a lot more about the cameras. And then you also have a flash. The flash sits outside the camera module, which seems to be an interesting design choice. And the camera bump isn't that protruded, but you do have a camera bump that will house your cameras. So again, I would recommend putting this phone in a case just to get a lip around the camera so that you don't scratch the lens of the camera easily. Now let's move on to the display. In this price segment, displays have been really interesting. This one is a 6.7-inch Full HD Plus Super AMOLED display. They call it the Infinity O display because of the punch hole camera on the front. But the bezels are pretty minimal all around the display, and it has a 420 nits of brightness, which is pretty impressive again for a price range that we are in. And the brightness is good enough for using the device indoors or outdoors. And the viewing angles on this display are good. Color reproduction and the depth in black levels is also really nice. So it's a pretty impressive display for this device. But if you compare it to some of the other devices available around this price bracket, you'll see that it's still running at 60 Hertz, and some other phones are available at 90 as well as 120 Hertz as well. So no fast refresh rate on the display, but you do have a good display with good brightness and good viewing angles. Now, running everything on the Samsung Galaxy F62 is the Exynos 9825 SoC. If you're not familiar with this SoC, it was launched back in August of 2019 on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. So it's a relatively old flagship grade chip, which means that in 2021, while some other manufacturers are pushing for 5G capabilities, you do get a flagship grade chip with the 9825, but you're not getting 5G capabilities for this device. So while some other phones are available with 5G in this price bracket, the F62 does not have 5G. Another issue that the 9825 was riddled with was overheating, and it heated up quite easily. That is not the case on the F62 because of possibly throttling down the processor considerably, and also because of the liberal use of plastic on the device. It means that you won't feel that heat transfer through if it does get heated up. Now, Samsung claimed some Geekbench scores on their website. We fell short of about 400 points on that every time we tested Geekbench. So it's definitely not the kind of performance that Samsung is touting, but it's still a pretty impressive CPU and GPU combination. And whether you're running through the user interface, which by the way is on Android 11, Samsung's One UI 3.1, or if you're gaming, this chipset can support it considerably well, and you can get really good graphic levels as well as performance levels from the device simply because this was a flagship grade processor back in the day. The processor is paired with 6GB of RAM or 8GB of RAM, and I would definitely recommend that you go pick up the 8GB RAM variant for longevity and if you plan to use the device for long periods of time. Now, Samsung's One UI has become relatively clean. It does suggest you to install a bunch of applications and also has the Discover option in the app drawer, which can be disabled. I would recommend that you go through the setup process properly so that you skip installing some of these unwanted applications and prevent bloatware on your device. Overall performance and the user interface for day-to-day activities is super smooth, and just navigating through the phone for finding an app that you want to open up or just tweaking a setting on the device is really easy to do, and the user interface has progressed considerably over the years. And One UI 3.1 is one of the cleanest and most refined user interfaces from Samsung, and the fact that it runs Android 11 out of the box is also appreciated. Let's move on to the cameras. On the back of the device are 4 cameras. One is a 64 megapixel camera, which is a 16 megapixel quad pixel camera. So when you take pictures in the auto mode, you do get 16 megapixel shots. You also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, as well as a 5 megapixel depth camera. The camera combination is pretty well laid out. The main camera, which captures 16 megapixel shots at f1.8, can be used for a 64 megapixel shot if you so choose to. In most cases, you'll be using it in auto, and it's a 26mm wide lens, which is pretty good. You also get a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. So if you're in a well lit environment and want an ultra wide shot, you can do that, and those turn out to be good as well. The 5 megapixel macro camera is an f2.4. Not very impressed with the macro capabilities of this camera, and instead I recommend using a macro lens on the main camera. Not only will that give you 16 megapixel shots, but will also allow you to go up much closer to your subject than is the case with the macro camera. The depth camera here is quite useful, and it allows you to get really interesting portrait shots, and these shots can also be processed in post, and then you can change the background considerably. So you can go from a black and white background to swirly background or to line background or a different kind of bokeh. This all is available within the device itself. You can also shoot 4K video from the main camera with up to 30 frames per second. And the front-facing camera also is an 8 megapixel camera with quad pixel technology, gives you 32 megapixel shots. The front-facing camera also does 4K. It seems to be a super sampled version because 8 megapixels in itself cannot deliver a 4K video, but you still get consistency on the front as well as the back with 4K at 30 frames per second. You also get a portrait video feature, which has become more popular recently, and it works rather well on the Galaxy F62. It blurs out the background and isolates the subject, and the 5 megapixel depth camera does definitely help in that. A rather odd thing from this device is that 1080p video at 60 frames per second has been left out from both the main camera as well as the front camera. This seems to be a strange choice from Samsung, and even though that is the more used video format, it is not available on this device. It seems to be a glitch or some sort of an oversight from the company, because it can easily be added to the device, and hopefully they do that with a software update, because the 1080p 60 frames per second video seems to be much smoother and a better choice even for social media. Now, one of the biggest highlights for this device is the large 7000 mAh battery. They don't seem to be stopping with respect to the size. And despite the large 7000 mAh battery, this phone doesn't feel very heavy. It's only 218 grams with a 7000 mAh battery. Let me stress that again. And the device also does support fast charging with up to 25 watts, and 825 watt charger is included inside the box. It also does offer up reverse charging. So if you do have a friend who forgot to bring his charger but does have his cable, you can definitely give him some juice from your power bank, which is the F62. Now this large 7000 mAh battery means that we got through 2 to 3 days of use without any issues. The screen on time on this device is also pretty impressive, but will vary considerably based on what your usage is. But you can easily expect upwards of 7 hours of screen on time with heavy usage on this device. The UI is pretty lightweight and does not stress the battery too much, and most of the usage for the battery will be because of the display, and that will still deliver a pretty impressive performance. The phone will take a long time to charge up as well, so you can expect it to fully charge between 2.5 to 3 hours, which is pretty impressive in itself for a 7000 mAh battery. Now the phone has dual dedicated SIM slots, which means that you can pop in 2 SIM cards along with a micro SD card, and the phone does have the ability to receive phone calls on both the SIM cards using Samsung's smart dual SIM feature, but it is missing carrier aggregation. So if you're interested in boosting up your data speeds, this device will not be able to offer that. But in itself, because it has dedicated slots, means that you can not only get storage but also 2 SIM cards in there, and the smart dual SIM feature works really well. We've tested it out on many devices and it works well on this. Phone calls are crisp, the speaker is loud enough, and the microphone has good noise cancellation for calls on both sides. Overall, the Samsung Galaxy F62 is a pretty impressive device with some essential features that are missing. There is no IP protection or mention of that anywhere. There is no glass back, but rather a glass-stick back panel. And there is no 5G, whereas some other manufacturers do offer that up in this price bracket. So if those things don't bother you, everything else on the device is pretty capable. You have a pretty capable processor, you have a massive battery, you have dedicated SIM slots, and you have a really fast and responsive user interface with a pretty sharp looking display and impressive cameras both on the front and the rear. And that's our review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a part of Team iGyan. This has been Bharat. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.